Was there anything in that particularly that was helpful for you or the teachers that attended?
I would say it was really helpful first in unpacking. So thinking about, right, traditionally we think of a science assessment as we're just knowing what science do you know. But going to the student-centered assessment session, we were challenged to really think about what does the performance expectation actually asking and how and what are ways students could actually showcase that. So we're just used to that multiple choice, like pick two or three answers. And there was a lot of really cool conversation around how do we get students to model this and how do we get them to analyze the data. And it was more about almost the science and engineering practices and the cross-cutting concepts and really seeing how those DCIs work within an assessment. We hadn't really seen great examples. So I think that student-centered assessment session really helped us like look at how we could do it. When I attended the toolkit, the NGSS student-centered assessment, I think one of the most powerful things for us was like actually getting to see assessments and go through them and analyze them and find like, gosh, what is this question asking? And like I think the county did a great job helping us really be mindful about how you create an assessment and really being true to what you're actually asking students to show you what they know. So
I think in the systems of assessment work that we engaged in, really thinking through short cycles and what is their purpose and do we need to grade everything, you know, as a test, was a key mindset shift in thinking for our teachers. And just going back to the success of now, we have some examples that we've created. We have shared examples that you shared with us that are being referred to make it seem possible. Those are really, I think, the big success pieces. And I think the real measure of success is this year, will teachers still use those assessments? Will they still, in that next assessment they design, will they start to think about the barriers? Will they start to think about incorporating a scenario or whatever aspect they want to dial up, you know, in their assessment? That to me is really what I'm going to be looking for. I think that would be a sign of success too.
So we put together what we thought were the most important features of uh, a performance task or a formative assessment, or some sort of assessment, science assessment. What we thought were the most important features to have, so kind of like the non-negotiables for science tasks in our district, having all of our tasks be scenario based.
Yeah.
So that was a shift that we did our performance tasks, and that was also one of the negotiables on our science checklist. Was that it was scenario based.
District assessments then become an example for teachers on how to rethink assessment in their classroom.
Yeah, how to rethink assessment, and hopefully, that, I mean, if you're rethinking assessment, then you need to also be rethinking instruction as
Yeah.
well.
So do you have a plan or a model for assessment that you're kind of thinking about in terms of things you've done already or experiences you've given teachers or your district? And
yeah, so I think now that we've kind of, I use the term like settled, we're kind of settling in now that we have a curriculum adoption from the K-5 to the eighth grade space. And so our next piece is now really taking the assessments that come with the curriculum and iterating them to best meet the needs of our teachers and students. One of our large pieces moving forward is really the essence of UDL and making sure our assessments align to those UDL principles as we're looking to have students to have ways to actually show us what they know. So in the K-5 through 8 in our eighth grade middle school space, we're really working at changing the assessments in terms of like now we have a good example that is aligned, and now we want to go through and edit and really make it meaningful. Like, what are we getting to the real essence of what it is we're trying to assess?
We really
And then
need to make sure that we're doing what is best for students. Even though it might be hard, making little shifts is, I think, all we can ask people to be doing.
I really think tying it into our initiative focusing on supporting our multilingual learners is really and connecting that even further back to our LCAP goals of access and achievement for students related to that, and even our goals around belonging. But I would say more in the sense of, if we really truly want to understand what our students know and be able to do, If we are creating barriers where they don't have the opportunity to even show us that, we cannot move forward, right? Like that's
Mhm.
where we have to be. So I really see connecting our professional learning around our initiatives related to the LCAP and related to supporting our language learners, thinking about our assessments and where we might have barriers for those students, but also for all kids, sort of with that UDL mindset, I think is the direction that we're headed in. And I think it's a really good one too.